Welcome back to The Layover, a behind-the-scenes glimpse into my creative process as Black expat stories evolves from an ethnographic podcast into a global docuseries. If we haven't met already, my name is Courtney Bowden, and I'm the creator and host of Black Expat Stories and the Beauty in the Black Sit newsletter. This space is where I reflect on the big wins, the tough lessons, and the soul-stretching conversations that are fueling the Black Sit movement right now in real time. And this is a special episode because today is my birthday. And I have a confession to make. I used to low-key think asking for help was a sign of weakness, and I'd often only treated it as a last resort or something I did when every other option ran dry. I know. I blame it on the eldest daughter syndrome, and I'm in therapy for that. But this work, which I believe is a calling, has taught me otherwise. Building Black expat stories over these last 3 years has stretched me beyond the solitary confinement that writing can often be, and it's ushered me into a much more expansive creative space. Now I'm directing, producing, and community building at the same damn time. And I'm so proud to be stepping even deeper into my creative bag. It's also made one other thing abundantly clear. If we want to tell our stories on our own terms, we need real support, and we need it now. We can't keep waiting for the powers that be to grant us permission or give us a seat at the table, because they've shown us time and time again that our stories aren't their priority. So we have to be our own green light. As I mentioned, today is my birthday, and as I celebrate another trip around the sun, what I want most isn't material. I desire sustainability, spaciousness, and the kind of support that allows this podcast and the docuseries it's evolving into to keep growing with care and intention. Now, usually I don't do this, but my mama always said closed mouths don't get fed, and with age comes maturity. I also know my limitations, but I also know this too. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. That's not an original. That's an African proverb. I've tried going it alone, and I can tell you it hasn't been fast. Now, I'm more focused on going together because that's really the only way this works. If Black expat stories has ever moved you, affirmed you, or expanded your sense of what's possible, I hope you'll consider becoming a supporter today by visiting blackexpatstories.com/support. You can give as little as $10 a month or contribute at any level that aligns with your belief in this work. That's my birthday ask. Because every dollar helps us travel to where the stories are, it helps us elevate our production, and helps us develop a documentary series worthy of the migration that we're witnessing. And it's no secret there have always been concerted efforts to erase our history, to distort our impact, and to silence Black voices in the media. And that attempted erasure has only gotten more brazen by the day. The unfortunate reality is the media landscape is shrinking, and the mainstream isn't making more space for our stories. It's making less. But like Auntie Iyanla once famously said, not on my watch. Independent Black creators like myself are left to fill the void with limited resources and limitless expectations. And I want you to know that this isn't a hobby. It's not a side quest, and I'm damn sure not trying to be your next viral content creator. Because for the last 20 years, I've studied, interrogated, and disrupted the mainstream narratives that have tried to flatten us. I've researched the patterns. I've sat in the lecture halls. I've even published the papers. And when the opportunity came to pursue a fully funded PhD at a Research One university, I said no. Not because I don't value the scholarship, but because I knew my calling was in the field. Deep down, I wanted to change the media, not just study it from a cushy perch. So I left the ivory tower and picked up my mic, my camera, and my pen. I began helping others tell their stories that disrupted stereotypes. And after arriving in Mexico, I found my own creative voice, and Black Expat Stories was born. Now, I'm proud to say that it's far more than a podcast. I consider it a living archive, a global offering, and soon, hopefully with your support, a docuseries. When I left the United States and moved abroad, I had no idea what was ahead. I just knew something had to change. I was choosing my peace, my health, and my life. But as I began speaking with more and more Black expats and immigrants, each with stories that mirrored my own in some way, I realized something bigger was unfolding. A whole migration movement that at first started quietly. Now it's roaring and gaining massive momentum. And as things worsen in places like the US, moving abroad has now become a more viable strategy for many of us who are quite literally trying to survive this onslaught of dystopian excuse my French. And underneath it all is a spiritual and cultural rerouting that feels too powerful to ignore. And I feel a deep responsibility to document it, much like luminaries like Zora Neale Hurston, who gathered our stories not for spectacle, but for safekeeping, for the archive, for the ancestors, and for the ones who are coming after us. This work, this platform is an extension of my life's work, which is to amplify the voices of the misunderstood, the misrepresented, and the underestimated in a way that feels deeply human, deeply honest, and more importantly, deeply ours. I've always believed we deserve more than flat, formulaic portrayals the mainstream offers us. We deserve context. We deserve nuance. We deserve to be seen in our fullness. That's what inspired me to begin capturing these journeys in the first place. And so what began with a mic and a mission has evolved into a sweeping, intimate portrait of what I call America's next great migration, the Black Sip movement, told by us, for us. The truth is, for the last 3 years, I've kept this platform alive on grit, grace, my own bank account, and a whole heap of faith. I've stretched a little into a lot. I've scraped together what I could to buy equipment, hire creative collaborators, edit episodes, and market the show. And somehow, we made it. Season 2 is here and underway, but even in the hustle, I was never completely alone. Shout out to my patrons, especially the day ones. Your support has made more of a difference than you know. It's helped me bridge the gaps, keep this thing afloat, and keep showing up. This platform has been carried by a community and by people who believed in the vision before there was a blueprint. There were folks who showed up with whatever they had and made the work possible. And I want to acknowledge just a few of those people by name right now. Larry, my husband, and my first and most generous investor, who not just invested financially, but has invested emotionally. Myron, who pushed me to stop waiting for perfect conditions and helped me shoot our first on-location episode right here in Playa del Carmen, and he didn't ask me for a dime. Maisha, my producing partner, who brings structure and soul to this creative vision and who has helped us pull off our on-location episode recordings with ease and grace. Catherine, who bought gear from our Amazon wish list without hesitation, and Bianca, whose belief helped fund 3 new episodes this season. So while you may hear my voice, this isn't a one-woman show. This movement has been built on belief, generosity, and shared vision. But belief alone doesn't pay the bills. Resourcefulness and scrappiness can only take us so far. Because if I'm honest, how I've been getting by isn't a sustainable strategy. Especially not in this economy. Not if we want to scale. Not if we want to go deeper. Not if we want to produce stories that match the magnitude of this moment. So when you notice a big gap between the episodes, honestly, it's not a lack of commitment. More often than not, it's a lack of funding. Because production, especially the quality that I aim for, can be incredibly cost prohibitive. And to keep these stories flowing, I started producing virtual episodes as a more accessible option. But even those take time, energy, and yes, money. From coordinating interviews and prepping guests to editing, writing intros, mixing audio, and promoting the final episodes, there's a whole invisible machine behind every single conversation you hear. And it's a machine I've mostly run on my own. In the spirit of transparency, you should also know that because I've been self-funding this platform for the better part of 3 years, there are seasons when I have to hit pause. Not because the stories have stopped flowing. There are plenty of those. But because I've had to hit the pavement and take on more creative work just to keep fueling what I'm building here. I've also been applying for grants, putting together proposals, refining pitches, and doing the work. And while we're hopeful that kind of funding will eventually come through, the truth is, grants are a gamble. They're slow-moving, competitive, and very unpredictable. And honestly, I haven't had the luxury of counting on them, at least not yet. That's why community support continues to be the most consistent, most powerful, and most soul-affirming resource that we have. Because when you give to this work, you're not just funding content, you're helping preserve culture, legacy, and the truth. So in honor of this solar return, I created a brand new ad spot, which is a call to action you'll now see in every Black Expat Stories episode moving forward. As a matter of fact, you can check it out right now. America's next great migration is underway, and this time it's gone global. Black Expat Stories is here to capture it. We're documenting the pioneers of the Blaxit movement through intimate conversations that go well beyond the highlight reel. Because these aren't just interviews, they're testimonies of courage, of healing, and of how we made it over. Every story becomes part of our living cultural archive, so that future generations won't have to guess how we felt or why we left. They'll hear it straight from us. We've built a global community rooted in solidarity, truth-telling, and mutual care. And we're just getting started. So, if this work has moved you, if it sparked something in you, affirmed your path, or expanded your sense of what's possible, I invite you to support the show today. Visit blackexpatstories.com/support. Your contributions help us capture more on-location stories, elevate our production, and lay the foundation for a future docuseries on the Blaxit movement. That's blackexpatstories.com/support, because this isn't just a moment, it's a movement. And with your help, we'll make sure the revolution is televised so these stories echo far beyond our time. This marks the beginning of a more intentional chapter in how I raise awareness for this work. I'm putting my award-winning commercial storytelling skills to use, not just for brands, but for something grounded in purpose. I believe in this platform. I believe in this movement, and I believe it deserves to be seen, heard, and funded with the same care and quality we often reserve for everyone else's stories, but our own. This is my first formal ask for tangible financial support. Because while love is beautiful, love doesn't pay producers, videographers, and the post-production team who all lovingly bring these stories right to your screen. So if this platform has moved you, I hope you'll move with us now by pledging your support, by visiting blackexpatstories.com/support. And you can give, again, as little as $10 a month or contribute whatever feels right to you. And if you're not in a place to give, I understand. I see you and I honor you. I know everyone's capacity is different, and I never want to diminish the other ways support can show up. So here are a few ways to help with $0 required. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Black Expat Stories. You can share an episode that moved you. You can leave a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify so we can amplify our impact. You could recommend a show to a friend or a community group. You can also amplify our posts on social media, because every one of these gestures matters, and I consider it a vote of support, and I don't take a single one of them for granted. This year, I'm not asking for candles, cocktails, or even confetti. I'm asking for support that allows this work to grow with the integrity and care it began with. Together, let's build something bold and lasting. Let's tell the stories we wish we had growing up. Let's invest in work that dares to show us fully, freely, and without apology. Because the Blaxit isn't just a moment, it's a movement. And I want to document it. So if you feel moved to support the work, you can go visit blackexpatstories.com/support. Because every contribution, no matter the size, helps keep the mic on, helps keep the stories flowing, and it makes sure that this revolution is televised and documented in real time. Thank you.